Welcome to episode 64 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we are talking about Yankee Doodle Dandy from 1942. We'll talk a little bit about the Best Actor category here in a minute, but Yankee Doodle Dandy won 3 Oscars on 8 nominations at the 15th Academy Awards. You know, kind of a heavy hitter. That's a lot of nominations for an individual film. Of course, gets a big win for James Cagney. Best Actor in a Lead Role, playing George M. Cohan, dancing fucking machine. He is pretty much lights out in this movie. I totally understand why he won. I love Gary Cooper's performance in The Pride of the Yankees, but Cagney is kind of doing every single thing you can do in a film, especially a musical. I read your review of this film before we started recording. You gave it a 7. That's also what I gave it. Just kind of down a mediocre street, except Cagney.
Yeah, he's the shining light of this film, and I kind of expected that. Yeah. Musicals, our track record with musicals in the 20th century has not been great.
No, it hasn't.
We'll find one, I'm sure. But so far, and this, you know, being a true story of a man I've never heard of, George M. Cohan, who I don't know if he deserved a film about his life. Like he was a Broadway star who wrote Grand Old Flag. That's great. But has his like legacy really lasted? Because I don't think so.
No.
I think Cagney in this film has a stronger legacy than the actual guy, which is kind of
for sure.
Weird. And I don't know if that's just, you know, my fandom talking, because over the course of this podcast, I've become a very big admirer of Mr. Cagney. And it's cool to see that he had such range with his work in the gangster films and then his work singing, acting, dancing, and, you know, tap dancing his way to an Oscar in this film. Makes me want to look at some of his later work where he was like, you know, kind of that guy. He's, I think, undervalued at this point. And I think Yankee Doodle Dandy is a decent film. I just think that I don't really know why I'm watching it beyond just, I want to see Cagney dance, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt watching it. I felt similarly to how I feel now when I'm watching every single possible Ryan Gosling role. I'm like, I just love this guy. So I'm going to watch anything he does, even if I don't like it. Even if the movie's not very good or it doesn't look very good, I'm going to watch it. I like this guy. I want to see what he's about. With Cagney, for us, we did an episode on Angels with Dirty Faces a long time ago now, 1938 gangster film. And of course, we both were more blown away by White Heat from the 40s than we were Angels with Dirty Faces. But Cagney is one of those guys who just brings the juice. And then seeing him dance and sing like this, which is really his passion over doing the gangster thing. You know, you're the first person who told me about Cagney. You know, he was doing the gangster stuff just to kind of pay his way through life. You know, it was kind of a fundraiser for him to be able to just fucking dance and sing and do all this stuff. And it's really cool that he won his Oscar for doing that, for doing what he loved most. Yeah, there's some shit in this movie that just causes it to age very poorly. It's right, you know, it's 1942. Yeah. World War II. There's a lot of just straight up propaganda in it, you know, very rah, go America, go USA, which I wish the movie was shorter in that regard, because it's kind of saying the same thing the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
There's a few scenes that are interesting with his family. But for the most part, it's a lot of propaganda. There's a now kind of the scene that gets most kind of hate is when there's all four family members of the Cohen family are in blackface, dancing on stage. And it's just very unsettling, very weird, very out of place. And those things cause movies like this to not live on. And people just kind of fucking, all right, like, we're done with you. We don't need you, you know? Well, there's other better movies from the 40s. And I understand that. But me giving it a 7 is purely on the merit of Cagney, like, killing it. I respect performances a lot. You know, I love when someone can truly carry a movie that's not very good. Like, that's a talent. That's not easy to do. And Cagney does it here, and I understand why he won. I wanna kind of hone in on the best actor category. We've done plenty of, you know, talking about this category through each episode by bringing up maybe, you know, if someone was nominated, and of course we're going to talk about it, you know, these movies that we've done. You know, one of the first times we did this, you know, Tom Wilkinson. I remember talking about him getting a nomination, you know, for In the Bedroom. We've done supporting stuff like J.K. Simmons for Whiplash. I remember talking about, like, dude, what a cool win, you know. We talked about Marlon Brando, On the Waterfront, you know, huge movie, obviously a Best Picture winner, and Marlon Brando, one of the best to ever do it. We've done this a lot where we love that category because it's a big time category where a lot of huge stars are there. And it's fun to kind of look at in context. If you look at any given year and you put those 5 guys together, like here, 1942, James Cagney, Ronald Colman, Gary Cooper, Walter Pidgeon, and Monty Woolley. I love putting those 5 names together. And I love doing that through the history of the Oscars. It's a lot of fun. And there have been some unbelievable performances that have actually won this particular award. Not just great performances like Cagney and Yankee Doodle, but performances inside movies that will live forever. And I want to talk about those. I want to talk about some big time wins. So I've set up a really neat little bracket here, similar to when we did the Olivia de Havilland episode. We talked about best actress wins, and I had you vote on these random ones. This is not random. I did a lot of work to kind of make sure that this represented, not just to me, but in the Oscars' eyes, more so in the Oscars' eyes, here on Oscar Sunday, of course, what guys are the most important, you know, what performers are the most important in the eyes of, you know, Oscar history. And so I picked 16. I found a really good cutoff point, and you know, was just kind of looking at these, you know, kind of statistics, if that's what you want to call it, of these guys that have won multiple awards, have multiple nominations. And so I decided to just kind of take myself out of it and not seed who I would have, you know, number one, my favorite, but the person who has the most wins. So let's just get started with this. Our number one seed is Daniel Day-Lewis. 3 wins, 6 nominations, all for best lead actor. He doesn't really do supporting. That's not really his thing. He did back in the 80s, but once he became, you know, like Last Mohicans and Age of Innocence, it was like, okay, well, what are we doing? You know, this is the guy. He's the man. He's going to be our number one seed. The performance I have chosen is There Will Be Blood.
Okay.
So that will be what you're choosing between the 16 seed, that's who he's facing the first round, is our guy, Burt Lancaster. 1 win on 4 nominations. And his win, of course, is for Elmer Gantry. So if you had to vote between Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview and maybe Paul Thomas Anderson's best movie, or against Burt Lancaster as Elmer Gantry, in Elmer Gantry, one of the coolest movies that we've been able to discover through this show.
Coming right out the gate with a homer. My God.
Yeah. This is a special place to be because I didn't plan this. This matchup is the most, you know, it's right up my alley. I love these two guys. I love what these movies kind of do for each other. I think a double feature of those is a good old day for somebody.
Yeah, we've talked about
yeah, there's no questioning it. And when I was doing this, I'm not kidding you. As far as awards and nominations, Burt Lancaster is literally number 16. And I was like, holy shit, he's the cutoff point. And he's gonna go against DDL, the top dog. So I had to put Plainview versus Gantry. What do you got?
Just Plainview is Gantry's dark side manifested, basically. They're the same man. And we talked about this so many times on and off the podcast, just how these two characters complement each other.
Yeah.
And to cut out everything else they've done, to just ignore Lincoln, My Left Foot, Phantom Thread, to just throw all that away, to throw away Atlantic City, From Here to Eternity, toss all that away. It's just Plainview versus Gantry. That is very tough. Oh.
Extremely difficult. These are two titans. Yeah. Everyone in this, as you'll see, is a fucking titan. These guys don't mess around. Burt Lancaster is technically last place with what I did. And that's, good Lord, that's saying something. We cut some big time people out.
So without Elmer Gantry, there is no There Will Be Blood. I firmly believe that. I think the character of Elmer Gantry naturally evolves to a guy like Daniel Plainview for today's audiences. So with that in mind, I have to give it to Elmer Gantry. It's Burt Lancaster.
Let's go.
Burt Lancaster. I love DDL in There Will Be Blood, but he is 100% fucking irredeemable. Elmer Gantry still has a soul. There's still some light in there. There's still a charming person that you kind of are rooting for. And Burt Lancaster brings that beauty to the character. And I think if that character doesn't have that light, the movie is way too dark to enjoy. It's Burt who keeps that alive. So it's got to go Burt for me. And he's a new guy in my experience personally. I haven't seen it. It's new to me. He's new to me, and I've fallen in love with this guy's performances, and I owe that to Elmer Gantry. So there's a lot of different things working for me on that.
Yeah. God, I love it. I love it. Daniel Day-Lewis is out.
To push Daniel Day-Lewis out in the first round of a Best Actor bracket. I'm going to get somebody's going to kill me for that.
The category is dominated by him from My Left Foot on. It's like he's just popping up like every time he's in a movie. It's crazy. And his 3 wins are really cool. I love, Christy Brown, Daniel Plainview, and fucking Abraham Lincoln. Like, what the shit? There's no argument that would make me believe that like one of these performances is better than the other. They're both just awesome. So I totally understand the Elmer Gantry discovery that we made on our I want to say it was episode 30 when we did The Apartment, that Best Picture winner. We were both kind of like, wait, Elmer Gantry is going to be the movie I want to rewatch, more and more. It's the one from 1960 that can rival Psycho in my mind. It's the one movie that's like, holy shit, this is really good. Everybody should see it. So I'm with you on that. Burt Lancaster is the man. Here we go. This is going to be, when I wrote this one down, I just thought, oh, Connor might kill me. he might just get so frustrated with me and just fucking quit this show. The number 2 seed in this Best Actor Oscar Sunday tournament is Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy has 2 wins in the category. One of them I have not seen. One of them we have not really talked about in the show at all. Captain Courageous. But we have talked about Boys Town from 1938. And he also has 9 fucking nominations in this category. Spencer Tracy, the number 2 seed for me. Now he has more total nominations than Daniel Day-Lewis at the 1 seed, but Daniel Day has 3 wins. Nobody else has done that. Nobody else. I don't know if anybody else ever will. It's very difficult to imagine a guy stacking up 3 within just this category. So Spencer Tracy is the 2 seed with 2 wins, 9 nominations. And I chose his role in Boys Town for you. And then we got our guy that we've also fallen in love with over this show, James Stewart, at the 15 seed. one win on 5 nominations. Of course, that's Philadelphia Story 1940, a movie that we talked about on our Great Dictator episode, a movie that's been brought up over and over because we love James Stewart. We've covered multiple movies that he's been in. He is just a fucking icon. And he's one of the guys I totally understand the lore around James Stewart. He's the man. So good luck. Spencer Tracy, Boys Town, James Stewart, Philadelphia Story.
Oh, you chart making fuck.
Yes.
That is
the chart maker. Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair.
It really, none of these are. This is in for a pain. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Spencer Tracy, Boys Town versus Jimmy Stewart, The Philadelphia Story. Philadelphia Story. He is, if I recall, a journalist. It's been a minute since I saw Philadelphia Story. He's a journalist who falls in love with Katharine Hepburn. But Cary Grant is her ex-husband who's also in love with Katharine Hepburn, because who wouldn't be in love with Katharine Hepburn?
Yeah, totally get it. Yeah.
Jimmy is so damn likable, but Spencer Tracy is so damn honest. Like, he brings the humanity out in every character he's ever played. There's this, like, he has a through line of just playing, you know, priests and lawyers and doctors and people you're supposed to trust. And he makes you believe that you can trust them. And I don't trust priests to save my life, but I would follow his character in Boys Town like straight into hell.
Yeah. I'd run through a wall for him. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Again, you have to just shut out. I got to throw Inherit the Wind, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Throw that away. I got to throw out Rear Window. Like, just everything. Fucking Anatomy of a Murder. It's all gone. It's just these 2 movies. And with that, I got to give it to Spencer Tracy for Boys Town.
Boys Town.
That movie changed me. Like, it was so beautiful. I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be a write-off. And it was such a touching story. And his character was so just noble. And what he brought out in Mickey Rooney, an actor I've never really cared for, what Tracy was able to bring out in his performance was magical. And it's like you saw me buy it not too long ago. You love this movie. I'm not surprised by this at all. I think Jimmy Stewart, if it was Rear Window, it might be a little tougher, but I do think he has better work within his nominations. And Spencer Tracy, my favorite performance is Boys Town that I've seen. He's fucking incredible in Boys Town. With Jimmy, it really is that I think Philadelphia Story is a good movie. I don't think it's the one he probably should have won for. So I think that holds him back on this thing.
Yeah, but I totally agree with that. Yeah.
You're right. If it was Rear Window, he totally would have taken this.
It would, it makes the conversation a lot tougher. Yeah. Oh man. This is not going to get any easier for you at all. These names, as you can imagine, you probably know which ones are coming up. You're like, oh fuck, when's this guy coming? Here is a fascinating matchup. 2 guys that I think are, you know, with Burt, with Spencer, with James Stewart, those guys are old school. You know, not everybody in the culture now even knows who they are. Mm-hmm. These 2 guys, on the other hand, are still around and very much a part of our culture, no matter what happens. I hear a lot of people say these 2 guys are 2 of the best ever. So our number 3 seed is Jack Nicholson, 2 wins, 8 nominations just in this category. Altogether, he has 3 wins and 12 nominations. The guy is a freak. He does it in both categories. In my opinion, probably the most entertaining guy to like ever grace the movie screen. He's just fucking dynamite. You know, there's so many movies outside of his Oscar resume that are better, you know, that are like his best stuff. So I chose his 1975 One Flew to the Cuckoo's Nest performance for this. I think that movie is not only maybe Milos Forman's masterpiece, but it's a movie that's very important to the Academy. You know, it's a Big 5 winner. There's, you know, only 3 of those. And so I felt it was right to kind of have that movie represented along with Jack, who's just fucking amazing in it. He is facing a a guy we talked about not too long ago when we covered 1992, Mr. Al Pacino. Al Pacino has 1 win on 5 nominations. That makes him our 14 seed. Of course, you have to choose the 1 win, and that's Scent of a Woman. We just watched that not too long ago. I rewatched it and had a whole new perspective on it. You really liked it. We had a blast kind of talking about it. So I'll leave the ball in your court. Nicholson versus Pacino.
Hoo-ah, that's a tough one.
Put the ball in the basket.
Oh boy, R.P. McMurphy versus Frank Slade.
Yeah, what a matchup.
God damn. I would love to see a conversation between these two characters.
Oh, dude, it'd be about women the entire time.
Yeah.
It'd be out of control. It'd be terrible. They need he needs Chris O'Donnell. Al Pacino needs Chris O'Donnell to kind of balance him out. And with Jack, he needs fucking Danny DeVito saying, I bet a dime over and over to balance him out. Oh, Jesus.
Oh boy. Geez, 3 months ago, I would have said Nicholson in a heartbeat. I would have had no respect for Pacino's performance, but after seeing it, I think that is one of the most...
You've seen everything I'm bringing up. I know that for a fact. I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Well, because then you just be like, well, I guess I'll choose The Godfather.
Yeah. Oh, that would be annoying. And boring. Like, well, I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
That's not fun at all. Because they're good. Good to know that. But I do think that Pacino's win in Scent of a Woman is maybe the most underrated and underappreciated win in at least recent history. But Jack, and I love that you can just say Jack, and almost every movie fan on the planet knows exactly who you're fucking talking about.
Yep.
That recognizable is incredible. And R.P. McMurphy is a national fucking treasure. That man just sticking it to the man, standing up for mentally impaired people who are being just, mistreated, just not giving a shit in the best way possible. A true rebel with a cause. It's got to be Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That is pretty much a no-brainer, but I do like that I did have to take a moment. Al Pacino's performance in Scent of a Woman is definitely worth remembering and worth watching. It's a great movie that I don't know why it gets a lot of hate. Like, yeah, he was great in The Godfather. He was great in Scarface, but that doesn't mean he was doesn't mean he wasn't great in this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. People get hung up on it has to be their best performance. That's not always going to happen. And
sometimes an actor can have more than one great performance. It can happen again. And Pacino is one of those guys. And I urge all you guys, give Scent of a Woman another chance. If you have seen it, try it again. If you haven't seen it, give it a shot. It's definitely worth a watch. It's on Prime right now. Check it out. It's
even if you haven't seen it in like years, it's worth it just to see fucking Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, whoa, look at this guy coming onto the scene. And he's just lights out, He's so good in that movie. So even if you're like, oh, I haven't seen it in a while, it's precious to watch it on that front because he's no longer with us. And it's right at the beginning of his career. And just that alone, and then you get to watch Pacino, this blind military like freak who's just got a wild mouth. So yeah, I don't know why it has I do know why, because he didn't win for Godfather or Serpico or whatever, or Dog Day Afternoon. But this is a great role. I'm with you, man.
Well, and a lot of people, I think, see that as an Oscar that was stolen from Denzel Washington, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which, great performance as well. But I think that year had a lot of strong competition. And it was anyone's game. And Pacino took it. So, yeah, and I'm happy for him. I think it was a great win. Now, which is great. It really does come down. You got to watch this shit before you judge it. You always have to. Never judge a film before you've actually sat down and watched it.
Never only use your frame of reference. Make it grow. Because then, because you don't want to be a cynical bastard who's just like, Godfather, like, it's like, yeah, great movie, incredible. It also won every other fucking award. So, like, let's leave it be. It got to win Best Picture. So both times. So let's leave it, I think looking at it that way, you have to look at it in context, like you're saying. Look at the year, look at the competition, and then watch the movies and actually make a call. So, yeah, I do think you have to think about it. One Flew Over is definitely one of my favorite movies and favorite books of all time. So however, I'm kind of biased, but
I would say on a personal level, I do enjoy Jack's performance in this.
I knew
it gets a little bit more.
I knew it. I knew you did. I know you loved that movie. 1997. Great movie. Greg Kinnear's killing it in that movie as well. Yeah. I knew that. I knew you were kind of like close to that one.
Go sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. He's such a prick. Oh, all right. Yeah. Jack's the man.
He is. So he will be showing up again. Moving right along. Holy shit. The 4 seed is Mr. Marlon Brando.
Oh, fuck.
2 wins on 7 nominations altogether in the category. I chose his role in On the Waterfront. And then the 13 seed. I guess our generation's Marlon Brando, Leonardo DiCaprio. 1 win on 5 nominations. Of course, his 1 win is The Revenant, a movie we both love. So let's see what you got, man. Leo versus Brando.
Jesus Christ. These are impossible.
Yeah. Sorry, Yankee Doodle Dandy. I'm sorry. We're just going to be talking about this stuff more. If you came for Yankee Doodle Dandy, fast forward a little bit, but this is great.
Oh, yeah. There's only so much I can take of talking about, a Jimmy Cagney musical. This is good.
Yeah. It's Oscar Sunday. This is the only place we can really do this kind of stuff. So got to have some fun.
Okay. Brando in On the Waterfront specifically. Another case where I got to just throw their careers away and talk about.
Yeah. I mean, how do you even, yeah.
Boy, On the Waterfront was a hell of a first watch. And it's a very strong film that still resonates today in many ways. Brando is a huge part of that, playing Terry something.
Hoyt or am I thinking that's a
the
way
other
different
guys.
character? Yeah.
Mallory, maybe? Malloy.
That is awesome.
Terry Malloy.
That's what it was. Terry Malloy. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I just looked it up. That's hilarious. Thinking Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, putting them in the same realm as Marlon Brando.
And On the Waterfront, Brando plays a peacock, and you got to let him fly, man. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
It's a guy who, was a title fighter, a prize fighter who lost his chance, ended up in deep with the mob, is trapped as an enforcer, has no way out, wants to do better. It's a great role. He plays off Lee J. Cobb and Carl Malden and Rod Steiger so well. And then Leo in The Revenant, the film that finally got him the gold, where he had to pretty much just put himself through a living hell to get it.
Yeah.
The Revenant is such a cool film. It looks amazing. It's one of the most gorgeous films of the 2010s. And Iñárritu is a huge part of that. And his cinematographer, whose name escapes me. Leo in that movie.
For The Revenant, it's hard to say his name. Emmanuel Lubezki, I'm not really sure to say, but he's a fucking, he's the man.
That's the guy. Leo in The Revenant, it's very much a lone performance. He's alone for most of the film, going through the wilderness and just surviving. The shit he puts himself through, though, damn, man. Enjoy that gold glint off the mantle you earned it. But Brando in On the Waterfront is a fully fleshed out character with hopes and dreams and wants and desires and pain and love. And I feel like DiCaprio in The Revenant, as cool as his character is, as exciting as the film is, it's vengeance. It's cold vengeance. There's nothing else behind those eyes. And I got to give it to Brando. I think On the Waterfront has the bigger legacy. The film has lasted longer. I mean, that's not really fair, but it's lasted long enough.
I know what you mean. its legacy is over 70 years has not been tarnished. Whereas
No.
The Revenant, people have already stopped talking about The Revenant. It's crazy.
They kind of have, and I don't think that's fair either.
Neither do I.
On the waterfront, Brando especially brings the pain and showed everybody that, because up to that point, he was kind of a, kind of a ruggedly handsome, shock actor almost. It was like the triple threat of Julius Caesar, Streetcar Named Desire, and On the Waterfront proved to Hollywood that this dude was a player.
Yeah.
And taking home the gold, his first statue for the waterfront was well deserved. And I had a blast talking about that movie. That was a great film. Yeah, Brando.
Yeah. I can't really argue with that. I think On the Waterfront is going to be an episode I have no problem redoing on the show to do a Best Picture showdown one day. It's an absolute icon. I think it was up for 10 Oscars that ceremony, and won a lot.
The only reason it wasn't
movie.
a Big Four or a Big Five winner is because it did not have a Best Actors nomination. If it had won that, it would have been a Big Five, which is beautiful.
And doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't it make sense if it happened one night, 30s, On the Waterfront 50s, Cuckoo's Nest 70s, Lambs 90s? You would skip every decade. I think that would be really cool. Then we would be due for one like now. We'd be a little bit past due. It should have been in the 2010s. Maybe Parasite should have done it. Who knows? Really fun to think about. I have no qualms with that. Marlon Brando moves on to the second round. Here's an interesting one. I'm very curious where you're going to go. I think I have a guess, but I'm curious to hear the debate. 5 seed is Mr. Dustin Hoffman. 2 wins, 7 nominations in the category. I always forget how decorated he is. Like, good God, he's super popular, super, well respected in the award circuit. He's just kind of did everything. I chose his role in Kramer vs. Kramer because we, of course, talked a lot about Kramer vs. Kramer on Best Picture Showdown with the 1979 movies. Had an absolute blast. He is fucking crushing it in that movie. He's the 5 seed going against the 12 seed. Another guy who's been, I've heard plenty of times talked about as the greatest actor of all time. We've kind of had that discussion on here when we did Awakenings. It's Mr. Robert De Niro. 1 win, 5 nominations. Of course, Raging Bull is that 1 win in this category. So went ahead and chose that. I know you love Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull. You like that role for Bobby D. So Hoffman versus De Niro. Let's hear it.
Ooh. All right. I'm glad you chose Kramer over Rain Man because I definitely prefer his performance in Kramer a lot more.
Me too. And the movie too. It's just Kramer vs. Kramer's great. It's a Best Picture winner that I have just no problem with. No problem.
I went into that fully expecting to hate it. I thought this was going to be trite. I thought this was going to be dull, stupid. I was just crying my fucking eyes out. And then on the episode, I got really emotional.
Yeah. That was a great episode.
It was a fantastic episode. I look back on that one with fond memories. Me too. And weirdly enough, Awakenings is the other one where I got really choked up. So this is an interesting pair here.
That was a whole nother animal. We talked about De Niro, of course. We talked a lot about fucking Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And then that's when we found out about Anton Furst, the production designer who passed away shortly after working on those movies in the early 90s. He worked on Batman. So really cool stuff happening on here, and it comes back up through this kind of stuff.
Ted Kramer versus Jake LaMotta. That's a quick fucking boxing match. But when it comes to films, performance here, De Niro versus Hoffman. That's a very interesting matchup.
Extremely.
De Niro in Raging Bull is really good. I don't necessarily think that's the one he maybe should have won for. I know that's a fucking hot take. I know that. Raging Bull is a cool movie. I think De Niro should have won for Awakenings. But that's the whole nother,
Not going to get any arguments here,
Throw it away.
Yeah, love De Niro. Love a lot of his work. So yeah, nothing here. My personal favorite is Cape Fear.
Yeah.
But that comes against fucking Denzel and Al Pacino. So
Oh boy. Ted Kramer is such a great character. You never get to see, I feel like you don't see a lot of single dad films at that time that aren't played for laughs. It's usually, Mr. Mom, like, what? Michael Keaton has to take care of the kids. Whoa. It's always that shit. But then you look at Kramer versus Kramer, and he's a genuinely decent dad whose wife leaves him because she's unhappy. She doesn't have adventure. And he's left taking care of this kid. And at first he's like, I don't know what to fucking do. But then to see him learn, to see him want to be better for his son, to see him want this kid to succeed and want himself to succeed and know he can do this on his own is fucking inspiring and really enriching. And then when Meryl Streep comes back and is like, I want my son, you feel for the guy. You're like, fuck off. You abandoned your son. Like, you can't do this. Like, I get why he just threw the fucking wine glass against the wall. Like, I was just as pissed as he was.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a few scenes in that where he is doing some of the best work I've ever seen. And yeah, that makes this very difficult because Raging Bull is its own unique, it's black and white. It's this really unique Scorsese boxing movie with De Niro doing crazy physical stuff. But there's something about Ted Kramer that, like that scene in the kitchen, when he's trying to make breakfast and it's going horribly, he's burning stuff and he doesn't even know how to pour orange juice and make coffee. It's brilliant.
Oh, to me, man, it's when the kid challenges his authority with the ice cream.
Oh man.
And he grabs him and like spanks him and puts him to bed. And the kid yells like, I want mom. And he yells back, well, I'm all you got. Like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, fuck.
I think what brings it out is that I am 100% certain I am never going to be a heavyweight boxer. But I could have kids one day and it could go bad and I could end up in that situation. And you never know. And you hope you end up doing the right thing. You hope you want to be better for your kids. And there's something about that movie that just makes me think about my own family. And that performance was so humanizing and personable. And I got to give it to Dustin Hoffman.
I love it. Oh, man. Robert De Niro. See you later. Dustin Hoffman moves on. Ted Kramer. I like that a lot, man. I think that's totally fair. It's a very valid way to kind of to look at both performances and choose one for personal reasons. And I think I'm with you. I think I would give it my vote as well. Love that year. God, 1979 is one of the best movie years of all time.
I never in a million years thought I would be okay with the film that defeated Apocalypse Now for Best Picture.
I know. I've had people tell me that listen to that episode. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? How the hell? And I'm like, just watch it.
Yeah. That's all you got to do is do the work and you'll understand.
Yeah. Watch Breaking Away. Watch Norma Ray. Watch all that jazz. Those movies are really good. It's a cool group. Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful. So the 5 seed Hoffman moves on. That means we are on to quite possibly the most interesting matchup of the first round. We've had some stuff that's lined up, like Daniel Day versus Burt Lancaster. That made sense. Brando versus DiCaprio. That makes sense. Now here we have polar opposite performers. The 6th seed is Mr. Gary Cooper. 2 wins, 5 nominations. Chose his role in High Noon, 1952, of course. And then his competitor is the 11th seed, and that is Denzel motherfucking Washington. 1 win, 6 nominations in the category. And of course, that's for his role in Training Day. 2001 versus 1952. Gary Cooper versus Denzel.
Jesus
what the
Christ.
hell?
Marshall Will Kane versus Alonzo Harris. Holy shit. That is a movie I would see.
Me too. I would watch those two guys just, strategically going at each other like a No Country type atmosphere.
Could that be a better representation of lawful good versus lawful evil?
Yeah.
That's fucking perfect.
This is great.
Oh, wow. Okay, High Noon. One of my favorite westerns. Super unconventional film. Will Kane is a noble hero whose town abandons him because they're afraid he's going to fail. After he spent years defending them, they won't spend a day defending him. And to see him lose his confidence over the course of the film and still pull it off is pretty remarkable. The moment where he just takes his star off and throws it on the ground, like, fuck all of you, and then takes off. Beautiful. Alonzo is one of my favorite villains of the 2000s. Denzel Washington playing a bad guy. He doesn't do it often, but when he does it, he fucking goes for it. There's nothing to like about that character at all. He is pure fucking evil.
Ever. The entire movie. It is committed fucking chaos. Like, I'm just going, total fucking anarchy. I don't care. I'm going to do anything in my power to just fuck everybody over.
Yeah. Everyone.
It's awesome.
It's the ultimate abuse of power. And
this is so hard.
It works so well for the character. The way that guy his ending is perfect. Those films actually complement each other in a very weird way. High Noon and Training Day.
They kind of do, in the way that DDL and Burt Lancaster, Elmer Gantry, Daniel Plainview, just kind of like, wait a minute, there's shades of you guys in each other. Yeah.
That's why I love going to these old films. You see the building blocks. It's so cool. Oh boy, this is a difficult one.
This is tough.
Just because of how memorable he is and how twisted and how just unforgiving. It's got to be Denzel in Training Day.
Man.
Yeah. I love when villains win Oscars because you get to see the man behind the villain accept that award. And 9 times out of 10, it's a humble, like, thank you so much, kind of quiet man. And I get that from Denzel. He's like, I just love the work. But you put him in front of a camera and you give him that script and he's going to fucking go insane.
Yeah.
And, every second of that, King Kong ain't got shit on this guy, and neither does Gary Cooper. Yeah.
I love Cooper. Love that guy to death. But Denzel as Alonzo specifically. And maybe one of the coolest, somewhere in the top 5, top 10 coolest accepted speeches of all time from Denzel, saying that they knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone with him and Halle Berry and Monsters Ball. Hilarious, true. He's the fucking man. Denzel's the man, and that role, I think most people would say it's that or Malcolm X. Those are the 2 roles that he has those cards that he can always play. Like, he's in the little things, he's in kind of some dumb action movies, but he's got those cards, and not a lot of people do.
He won 2 Oscars. Let the man, play in the sandbox. Let him do what he wants.
He has a total of 2 wins on 8 nominations and 6 nominations in the lead actor category, and that 1 win. So he moves on. He moves on in the second round. I love it. We're almost done with the first round here. Let's move on to the 7-10 matchup. I think this is a no-brainer. I think even more for you than me. This is the one I wrote down where I was like, I don't think there's much conversation to have. The 7th seed is Tom fucking Hanks. 2 wins, 5 nominations. I chose Forrest Gump because that's one of the most iconic characters in American cinematic history. And then he's going against Sir Laurence Olivier with 1 win on 9 nominations. Of course, I chose Hamlet because that's the 1 win. And it's a movie we've covered on this show that we do not like.
That is just incredibly unfair for Laurence Olivier. Because
it doesn't matter. Anybody he's against here he's going to lose. Anybody he's against in this thing.
You're not wrong. And Olivier is considered one of the greatest actors of all time. But honestly, what I've seen personally, I've not been that blown away, which is unfortunate.
It's also just not our bag. So far, Shakespeare has not really been our favorite thing. Yeah. These old school adaptations that are just kind of like just over the top.
Well, I've seen him in some non-Shakespeare stuff. Like he had a supporting role in Spartacus. He was the bad guy in Marathon Man.
Yeah.
and he's good, but GOAT, I don't think so.
I'm with you.
And then Hanks, I recently watched. There's this Netflix series called The Movies That Made Us, and I watched some of those, and they talked about how difficult it was to get Forrest Gump off the ground, and how it went like through so many different scripts and changed studio hands and studio heads who slashed the budget, and Zemeckis and Hanks putting up their own money to finish this thing, and just everything that went into this movie. It made me appreciate it so much more. And Hanks especially is the glue that keeps that thing from falling apart, because he plays like right up against the line, so close to being offensive, but not. And it's just because the character of Forrest Gump is so goddamn endearing. You can't hate him. He's the nicest dude in the world. All he wants to do is help his friends. And you feel that just, his relationship with Lieutenant Dan and fucking Jenny and Bubba. And you love it. You love everything he tries to do for them. And Hanks has such a, he's considered like, the nicest dude in Hollywood for a reason. And the characters he plays, he often brings that nicety into the characters, and Forrest Gump is no exception. And it's interesting that, like, is there any particular reason you went Gump and not Philadelphia?
I like him in Philadelphia better, but I think Forrest Gump is one of this category, maybe the most recognizable character in the entire category's history. Not a lot of people are going to be like, oh yeah, fucking Burt Lancaster, Elmer Gantry, or even know Denzel Washington's name in Training Day, that his name is Alonzo. But Forrest Gump is the name of the movie. It's all time. It's also a movie that we've brought up on this show when we did Pulp Fiction, and we kind of talked about, we wish Pulp or Shawshank would have won over Forrest Gump. That's just not the way the cookies crumbled. I think it's an all-time performance as far as all that stuff goes, the culture stuff.
Yeah.
I love him in Philadelphia.
I've seen Philadelphia exactly one time, and that's enough. That movie.
That's all it takes. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, is that a hard movie to watch? But Forrest Gump. There's a moment in Gump that I think gives it to him by default. And it's the moment when he finds out he has a son. And the first thing he asks is he smart? Like, he's not like, oh my God, I have a kid. He's like, is he okay? And oh my God, I tear up every time. I have a soft spot for Forrest Gump. I know we've talked a lot of shit about it in the past, but that's only because the films it was up against, heavy hitters.
It's not its fault. Yeah, it's really not the movie's fault that it beat out these two kind of cinephile, like definition of cinephile movies in Shawshank and Pulp Fiction, these movies that people adore.
Yeah. So definitely Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Yeah. Olivier has yet to really impress me, which I know makes me sound like a fucking snob, but sorry. I mean, it's not my fault.
I think it makes you sound the opposite of a snob, because a snob would be like, Laurence Olivier, he should be moving on to the next round. It's like, no, straight up Gump, especially Gump versus Hamlet. It's no fucking competition.
I sat through 2 hours and 40 minutes of fucking Hamlet. I was not impressed. I don't get it.
I don't need it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought that was going to be the easiest one of this whole opening round. That one or this next one. And this is the last one of the first round. We'll move on to the second round, speed this thing up a little bit. The 8 seed is Sean Penn, a man who has, sneakily grabbed 5 nominations in the category and 2 wins. I don't think a lot of people know that or think that when they think Sean Penn. He's going against the guy who just won. The 9 seed, Anthony fucking Hopkins. 2 wins on 5 nominations. On 4 nominations. Anthony Hopkins, I chose his performance from 1991 as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, a role that could take this whole thing.
Okay. It was Milk, right? With Penn?
Yeah. I like Sean Penn in Mystic River, but I think whenever, 20, 30 years from now, when we look back, I think playing Harvey Milk in the Gus Van Sant movie, 2008. Great movie. I think that's going to be the one that people will point to.
Yeah.
I think he's just doing extremely good work. It's his last nomination in this category. You know, he hasn't got one since. And it's, really, really cool win. I also think in Mystic River, he's like teetering on supporting. Like he's not, there's a lot of main characters in that movie, with Kevin Bacon, Tim Robbins, and him all kind of sharing to me. Whereas in Milk, he's fucking running the show.
That's true. Milk taught me a lot about who Harvey Milk was and his impact on gay rights and gay history and American history. Yeah. And I thought his performance, Sean Penn's performance, was just heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. I was so blown away by how much that film got to me. I gave it a 9, and I did not expect to do that. But this is Hannibal Lecter we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible to ignore that performance. It's the film that turned Anthony Hopkins into one of the most respected actors in Hollywood, and well deserved too. It's the character for so little screen time dominates that entire movie like a fucking black cloud. It's insane. He has such a presence about him. He's on the screen for like a total of like 16 minutes or some crazy shit like that. But you feel him bonkers the entire time, just in her head. It's amazing. Movie. Yeah. It's the fact that he never blinks, the mixed metaphors, the way he taunts her with just his words. He knows how to get in everybody's head and stay there. And it's the fact that he manipulates an entire murder investigation just so he can escape from prison is so smart and so cool. And the prison break is fucking gnarly. And that movie is one of the greatest films to ever win Best Picture. And I think, Hopkins and Foster both deserve that win. And I give it to Anthony Hopkins. It's a no-brainer for me on that one. Yeah. Yeah. Anthony Hopkins moves on with ease. Like you said, an amazing movie, Best Picture winner. That's just lived on and hasn't really gone anywhere in the horror community, in the Oscar community. It's just fantastic. One of the most unique movies to win Best Picture, just because it's a through and through horror genre film, and that's just rare. We've seen that just does not happen. So it's cool that it broke those barriers, and in a year where I think JFK really has something to say. It's a movie that kicks ass and has amazing performances, and Oliver Stone is definitely at the top of his game. So that's crazy, that I still think Lambs is probably, it's probably right that it won. Dude, I've not stopped thinking about how fucking good JFK was. Yeah, it's perfect. It's a perfect movie. Man, we have 8 actors here that have moved on to the second round. This is going to get even tougher. Now we kind of know where you're at with each role. Let's see what you do matching them up against other people. So let's get straight to it. I'm going to skip over the 1 seed because the 16 seed, Burt Lancaster. Let's just do it now. Let's just go in order. Let's go Burt Lancaster, Elmer Gantry. A total, he has 1 win, total of 4 nominations in the category. Going against the 9 seed who just moved on, Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs. What do you got? Shit. Oh boy. Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs, I absolutely love. And he's such a strong villain, and he's exciting, and he's creative, and you want him to like you. It's weird. He's a bad guy who feels like, you get along with him. It's odd. And of course you've got, Buffalo Bill to kind of balance him out. Is this guy as evil as this dude who's ripping women apart? And then you've got Elmer Gantry, a very layered performance of a man who I think truly wants to do the right thing, but finds himself incapable of doing it. He doesn't know how to be a good person, but he wants to be a good person. I get that vibe from Elmer Gantry. He sees this dodge as a way to maybe find peace with himself, and it gets out of hand. but you're kind of with him the whole time. You feel this journey, you understand it, and you want to see him succeed. And in that respect, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to give it to Burt Lancaster.
Whoa. That's crazy.
I want to see how this plays out.
Jesus Christ, I wasn't ready for that. I thought you'd say it's really close, but overall, Hannibal Lecter is just the super iconic character. Elmer Gantry, the 16 seed, has taken down Daniel Day-Lewis and Anthony Hopkins.
Dude, believe me, I am just as, if not more, surprised than you are.
I love it. Oh, I love it. All right. Okay, let's see. The 2 seed moved on to the second round, so we'll go over to the other side of the bracket here. That would be Spencer Tracy in Boys Town. 2 wins, 9 nominations in the category, going against the 7 seed Tom Hanks. 2 wins, 5 nominations. Forrest Gump versus Spencer Tracy in Boys Town. What's his name in Boys Town?
I want to say Father Flynn. What's that?
Flynn sounds right. Let's check it out. Boys Town. Father Flanagan.
Flanagan. Okay, there you go.
Flanagan against Forrest. Yeah.
Nate, the 2 most likable, decent human beings in this bunch here.
Yeah. Denzel off camera.
I'm talking characters.
Oh, characters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Yeah. Everybody else has a little shit in them. Yeah.
Oh, Forrest Gump versus Father Flanagan. I'm going to give it to Tom Hanks. I love Forrest Gump just as a character. I love him telling his story and just all the interactions he has and how there's not a bad bone in this guy's body. He believes in the right thing. Just, the phrase or the line, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. That's beautiful. And yeah.
That's all you need.
Yep. That's
beautiful. I figured you'd lean that way, but that's a good little matchup in Connor's world. Hanks versus Tracy. Let's see. The 3 seed, back to Jack Nicholson. 2 wins, 8 nominations. We're taking his role as R.P. McMurphy in One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest against Alonzo Denzel Washington in Training Day, the 11th seed, 1 win on 6 nominations.
I can picture Alonzo being the piece of shit cop that arrested R.P. McMurphy.
Yeah, and RP's like trying to convince him, like, "Come on, man! Like, I'll join your crew. What do you got to do? I got to get one of those fucking vests." Yeah.
He just like tries to bite him. He's like, I'm crazy. See, take me to the lockup, mental hospital. Come on, take me to.
Come on.
Oh boy, it's Jack. It's got to be Jack. R.P. McMurphy's just such an iconic character and such a fun piece of shit to watch. Alonzo, there's just such a darkness. You're kind of afraid of what he's going to do next. With RP, you're like, oh, what's he going to do next? You're just kind of waiting for the, yeah.
And he leads this crew of misfits in a way that is just, like inspiring. And somehow this kind of weird guy who's trying to just fuck everything up and just create chaos. He's like, he's having a blast with fucking Martini. I love Danny DeVito in that movie. Oh my God.
He's an agent of chaos at first, but when he Brad Dourif's character, Billy. Yeah. When he latches onto him, becomes kind of an unofficial mentor. And when he, kills himself out of fear of what his mother's going to think of him, RP's reaction to that is so human and just like, it's very much a "you killed my friend" reaction. Like, how could you do this to him? And he had an opportunity to leave. He could have just fucked off, but he didn't. And yeah, it cost him, but he inspired hope in these people in a way that they didn't have. And it's fantastic.
He gives them all a reason to like wake up and see what's going to happen the next day. And when he's offering the gum, it's like, "You son of a bitch, you can talk." And he's so excited. He's, stomping his feet. That is peak Jack Nicholson. That run, he does Chinatown in 74, Last Detail in 73, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then of course he does The Shining, our personal favorite, as Jack Torrance. And you just all of that assholery and that just like, what is he doing? It's so prevalent all the time, always. But you love him. You just love him to death.
Straight up. Yeah. I mean, like the scene where he's, just calling out the baseball game is so endearing and like
God,
pure rebel. It's perfect. Yeah.
That's something else. That scene gives me chills everywhere. Come on, he's running second base. Come on. And they're all looking at the TV like he's like conducting an orchestra. Yeah, it's beautiful what he's doing in that movie. An orchestra of hope. Yeah, I love that. Love that character. Love that movie. No arguments here. Training Day, I think, while it's an awesome movie and it's just wicked entertaining, there are times when the screenplay is like, okay,
it's a little too coincidental. Yeah. It's a little like, that works out great for you.
Yeah, and and they make Los Angeles seem like it's this tiny town.
Of all the gangbangers in all the world, you just happen to end up in the bathtub of a guy whose sister you saved earlier that day.
Yeah, on a completely different side of town of Los Angeles, one of the biggest cities in the world. Yeah, all that stuff is like, okay. You had to make it fit. Okay. But One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is just a masterful kind of story. So it has that going for it too, behind it. All right, this is the last matchup of the second round, and then we'll move on to the final four. This is good stuff. We have the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. Both have 2 wins and 7 nominations. Gotta love that. Marlon Brando, On the Waterfront versus Dustin Hoffman, Kramer vs. Kramer. Both Best Picture winners too. This is cool.
Oh boy. Oh fuck. Damn.
Yeah.
Could have been a contender.
Both movies we've done on the show.
Yeah. Both movies that were first time watches that I really enjoyed. But only Kramer versus Kramer got in my head. And I'm going to give it to Dustin Hoffman.
I love it.
Yeah. Jesus. I don't know. These things always make me like learn a little bit about myself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think when you just like you're doing every time you're like, I'm throwing out Brando's other performances. I'm talking about On the Waterfront and Kramer vs. Kramer and just kind of putting it on the table and just, yeah, of course your mind's going to think about how awesome these guys are. But when you just put them head to head, it makes you really think about which performance do I like better, not actor.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, because, you chose Burt Lancaster over Anthony Hopkins. You've seen tons of Hopkins performances, a guy that you've grown up with. But Lancaster in Elmer Gantry is something to behold.
Yeah, I've seen Silence of the Lambs 100 times. I've seen Elmer Gantry once, and this dude has not left my head ever since.
Oh, I love it, man. So cool. All right, well, we're at our final 4. This is a very interesting group. We have the 16 seed, the 7 seed, the 5 seed, and the 3 seed. Fascinating. So we'll start with the 3 versus the 7, and that is Jack Nicholson versus Tom Hanks.
Jack. It's Jack.
Yeah.
At this point, like there's not much
through
to explain about the films. Like y'all know what I think of these movies. It's going to be pretty quick.
Exactly. Let's see. Other side. 16 versus 5. Burt Lancaster, Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, shit. All right. Burt. Yeah. It's definitely Burt.
Let's go. Oh, I love how far he's gotten. It's so cool. That
character is so fucking creative and so interesting. And so I could watch a 12-season TV show about that guy. I want to know everything about Elmer Gantry. Is that even his real fucking name? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. It really is my one of my favorite things that a movie can do effectively and kind of make me feel like, I don't want to say the word dumb, but make me feel almost like they get me. They actually got me with this. I'm so distracted by this that I kind of disregard everything else. Elmer Gantry is the perfect example of characters that I've fallen in love with since I've been a kid, is these guys that are mischievous and have these agendas that you don't exactly know about, and you don't know exactly about their past, but it's definitely fucking checkered. And you're just seeing this 2-hour glimpse into this specific time and place in their life.
Yeah.
And that's why it reminds me so much of Daniel Plainview. It's like, dude, what happened to this guy as a kid? Like, fuck, we only see him as most of his adult life as he's fathering a young son and then going up until his son is in his 20s. And that's it. That's all we see. We don't see the end. We don't see how he got so fucking evil. Like, I love shit like that. It kind of leaves you bits and pieces to just kind of, all right, kind of put these together myself and just enjoy this particular snippet of life I'm seeing. And Elmer Gantry is great.
Yeah, there's certain movies that treat you like new friends. Like you just met this person. You're now a part of their life going forward. You don't know their whole story. All you know is what you are now a part of. And I love when that happens.
Yep, me too. It's something I found out as I kind of confronted, why do I like these things? It's one of the things I found out, that's why I love Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, is that basically is what The Master is. It's like this fucking guy that comes back from the war and is clearly like a little bit messed up. Something definitely happened, but we don't know exactly what. And then you have PSH on the other end, just like, oh my God, I definitely don't want to know how he got there. Like, that guy's fucking losing his mind. And Boogie Nights, Burt Reynolds' character is like, okay, yeah, there's like 10 movies that could be about his life before Mark Wahlberg comes into play. I love that trope. I love when a guy has that kind of talent that he can do that with his characters, where I'm like, who gives a shit? This is so fascinating.
Yeah. How does one become a pig fuck cult leader versus the king of porn in the San Fernando Valley in the 80s? How does, what kind of decisions lead you to have that kind of a life? You'll never know.
Exactly. Burt Lancaster in Atlantic City. Jesus fucking Christ.
Like, it got to the point where I was viewing that film as a fucking sequel to Elmer Gantry. Like, this is the next step in that guy's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course he's going to become a fucking gangster. Why not? He's been a preacher. He's been a card player. He's been a con man. Cross this off the fucking bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It makes total sense.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I love this stuff, man. Well, here we are. The final round is 16 seed, Mr. Burt Lancaster, who almost didn't even make the cut to be in this tournament. He is in the final with his 1 win on 4 nominations, Elmer Gantry, versus Jack Nicholson, one of the most decorated actors of all time. 2 wins, 8 nominations just in this category as R.P. McMurphy, One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest. Here we go.
I take it you were not expecting this to be the final here.
This looks like what it would be for me. I don't know. I would have had a hard time. That first round matchup between Burt and Daniel Day. I love There Will Be Blood. I've seen it so many times. It would be very hard. I was stumped by you taking Elmer over Hannibal Lecter. That blew my mind.
Me too, man. Me too. I got to just be honest with myself and think like, what? I don't know. I honestly don't know what it is. There's some it factor that Burt has in Elmer Gantry that just makes me want to keep watching. That movie could be 8 hours long and I would not stop watching it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And both Elmer Gantry and R.P. McMurphy have that quality of like, you don't know where this fucker came from. You just know who they are now. This is a brief glimpse into their life. With RP, it's the end of it, but still. And this is not what I expected when we were going to do this best actor thing. I was fairly certain this was going to end with me picking either Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, or Jack Nicholson. But when you're judging on the value of the performance at hand, you got to disregard an actor's career and just focus on what this performance means to you personally. And with that, the winner of this is Burt Lancaster.
Yes. Bert, the 16 seed, taking it all the way home, beating out Daniel Day-Lewis, Anthony Hopkins, Dustin Hoffman, and Jack Nicholson. He takes the crown. That was so much fun.
Burt Lancaster is an actor I have become obsessed with because of this show. Everything I've seen him in, he has been lights out. He is such a talented actor. He's one, like you said in the beginning, he's one of those actors that people just don't talk about anymore. Like our generation doesn't know who he fucking is. And that is depressing because I love this guy. I love him in Elmer Gantry. I love him in From Here to Eternity. I love him in Judgment in Nuremberg. I fucking love this guy in Atlantic City. And I'm going to keep watching his work because I firmly believe he has an immeasurable talent that he brought to every performance. And he is starting to become my favorite actor of the 20th century. He's this close. And Elmer Gantry is the film that made me fall in love with this performance and this enigma of a character. And that is all I have to say about that, in the words of Forrest Gump.
Perfect, man. I love it. I agree. I agree with all of that. I love all those guys we talked about. Of course, today, the only reason we could do that was because of James Cagney. but these guys that we got to talk about are legends. It's a lot of fun to kind of reflect on what you've watched and which ones mean the most to you. And I'm with you. I think Burt Lancaster, James Stewart, and Humphrey Bogart through this show have stolen my heart. I knew a little bit about them, but then going into this show and watching more stuff, I've come out the other way like, holy shit, I really, really like these guys. They're not just these icons I kind of hear about when I'm reading about movie history. These are guys I really cherish their work, you know? And so, I'm never going to stop watching Burt Lancaster, never going to stop seeking out movies. The next one on my list, it has been for a long time, Separate Tables. I got to see that, 1958. So I'm always on the lookout.
Yeah, a long time ago, before we had Oscar Sunday, when I was still incredibly not versed in films prior to 1980, really. Mm-hmm. I knew the name Burt Lancaster, but I didn't know anything about him. I thought he was British. He sounds British. The name Burt Lancaster sounds like he should be Sir Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
And then I watched Judgment at Nuremberg and I saw this guy and I'm like, this to play a sympathetic Nazi. That's impressive. And then I told my grandma, who loves all of this stuff, everything we do pre like 1970, she fucking adores on this show. And when she found out I was going to watch Elmer Gantry for the podcast, she was like, oh my God, I haven't seen that movie in years, but that movie is incredible. You're going to love this guy. And I'm like, all right. And she was right. So thank you, my mom, for introducing me to Burt Lancaster. And
beautiful. Thank you for participating. I will always be coming up with stuff like this when I can, just to kind of not just talk about one thing or get too boring. I think jumping around like that every now and again is a lot of fun. And we just got to talk about 16 different dudes who have like a clear place in our lives. Like we clearly know a lot about all of them, from the 1 seed to the 16. So that was great. I'm always happy that you bring the heat with those.
Well, it's so much fun for me too. I get to kind of think about this shit. Like, who do I value more? And it is hard to have to make these decisions, to have to tell myself like, Robert De Niro is no longer in this. And I'm like, that's no fault to his performance. His performance of Raging Bull is fantastic, but it is not, better. It's not, in my opinion, as good as what this may be. And that's just could be what I'm thinking now. A week from now, it could be completely different. I don't know, but
maybe one day you watch one you haven't seen, right? Best actor performance, and it's just like, oh fuck, this is the one.
If we're talking like full range of his career that I like, if we're talking films he should have won for that he wasn't even up for, he totally takes this home for the King of Comedy.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's hard to hard to wonder, but always fun to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. Oh man, I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about Yankee Doodle Dandy. What do you think?
Might as well. Sure. Why not?
I want to talk about some more individuals. I've got 6 people I want to bring up here. Pretty quickly. It doesn't have to take too long. This movie's got some heavy hitters. Of course, Cagney himself, but the director of the film is Mr. Michael Curtis. Sure, you've heard that name before if you've seen a movie called Casablanca. He was nominated for Best Director 5 times with 1 win. So, Captain Blood, 1935, Four Daughters, 1938, Angels with Dirty Faces, 1938, Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942, and Casablanca, of course. He won his only solo Oscar here as Best Director. Casablanca came out in 1942, but it missed the cut, so it didn't compete until 1944. So really one of those weird ones where Casablanca actually came out technically the same year as Yankee Doodle Dandy, but didn't compete until the next Oscars. The 30s and 40s are filled with shit like this, where you're just like, nothing makes sense. Sometimes foreign films don't compete for a fucking decade. So it's really stupid, but this is an impressive resume. I've seen 3 of these movies. Haven't seen Captain Blood or Four Daughters.
Yep. I'm in the same boat. I think it's interesting that Captain Blood was a write-in candidate. Apparently, not an official nomination, but enough people were like, give this guy an Oscar, that he ended up on the ballot.
Wouldn't that be cool if that happened now? Where oh, you know what? Fuck it. Put Robert Downey Jr. up for Iron Man. Come on.
With how fucking juvenile people are today, it'd be like Joaquin Phoenix competing against These Nuts or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So good. James Cagney, again, is kind of the reason we got to do the Best Actor conversation. He was nominated 3 times in the category, got 1 win, so he barely missed the cut. Burt has 1 win, 4 nominations, so that was kind of that was it. You can't be any lower than this, And with Cagney, it's just 3 nominations and 1 win. So he had Angels with Dirty Faces, Best Actor in a Lead Role. Again, a movie we talked about a long time ago on this show. He won, of course, for Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942. And then his last nomination comes in 1955 for Love Me or Leave Me. Haven't seen that one, but I like Cagney. Cagney is a guy I'm definitely open to watching more stuff. He's impressed me in every movie he's in, even if the movie doesn't, kind of win me over.
Well, it's remarkable he wasn't up for White Heat. I mean, his performance in that is fucking heat check. I mean, good Lord. And I think it's interesting. I just looked up Love Me or Leave Me. In that, he plays a gangster who marries a song and dance lady. So he gets to kind of combine the 2 things he's known for.
Oh, that's perfect. That makes total sense. Yeah. Cagney. Yeah, he's great. His eyes are, I've talked about Bogey. Bogey has some of the most amazing eyes I've ever seen on the screen. Cagney's in that conversation. He just, it's like, holy shit, you can't look away.
He looks like bizarro Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
Like an evil Jack Lemmon.
That's perfect. I love Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon also was someone that I thought about but neither of us have seen what's the one from the 70s that he won?
Save the Tiger?
Yeah, Save the Tiger. Neither of us have really seen that, so love the dude, but he also missed the cut. Walter Houston. Holy shit. It was weird to see him in Yankee Doodle Dandy as the father of the Cohen family. A guy that shattered my entire world on the Hamlet episode when we watched Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Just one of my favorite supporting roles of all time.
I gotta say, I hope they used a lot of makeup in Treasure of the Sierra Madre, because this dude, if not, this guy aged like milk over the span of 6 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jesus, he had a rough go of it for those 6 years to end up looking like a crazy prospector in 1948.
Yeah, but he passed away in 1950. I wonder, if there's those last couple of years, he's just like, fuck it.
Maybe what killed him? Aneurysm. Oh shit.
Ugh, that sucks.
Maybe it was stress.
It very well could have been. Yeah.
He's fairly underwhelming in Yankee Doodle Dandy. I'm surprised at the nomination.
Me too. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It must be partly because of who he is. But yeah, I didn't think he was that great. He was nominated in 1936 for Dodsworth, Best Actor. All That Money Can Buy, 1941, Best Actor. And then Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942 for supporting. And then he won on his last nomination ever, 1948, Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So yeah, nice little resume, but until I see Dodsworth and All That Money Can Buy, that's when I'll kind of make my call on these movies, because he's great in one and so-so in the other.
Yeah, I think this guy's, biggest contribution to cinema was creating a dynasty that has lasted to this day in the Houston family.
Jack Houston, baby. Love Jack Houston.
John Houston, Angelica Houston, like these power players who just helped change the landscape. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love Angelica Houston's just popped up in so many of my personal favorite things. It's like she has a pulse, on like what Austin Johnson loves. It's really cool. She's fantastic. That's actually it for the cast. Cagney and Houston, of course, Michael Curtis, the director. So I found 3 other people here that are kind of, behind the camera. One of them is the composer for the film, Ray Heindorf. I wasn't, with this movie, you obviously got a lot of sing, song, and dance. And then you get you kind of get confused in what's score, what's soundtrack, what's this, what's that, because there's music playing a lot in this film. So I didn't really remember too much of the score.
Well, the score, it's all like hyper American propaganda songs, like Grand Old Flag.
It's just these sing song. Yeah, USA.
Thinking a movie about a guy who really was like a premier Broadway star, the score would be one of the standouts. But
Yeah. Well, this guy is definitely a standout when it comes to composers being nominated. Bear with us. He won for Yankee Doodle Dandy, best scoring of a musical picture. He won for This Is the Army, 1943, best scoring of a musical picture. And he was nominated for Up in Arms, 1944, Hollywood Canteen, 1944, Wonder Man, 1945, Rhapsody in Blue, 1945, San Antonio, 1945, Night and Day, 1946, My Wild Irish Rose, 1947, Romance on the High Seas, 1948, Look for the Silver Lining, 1949, The West Point Story, 1950, The Jazz Singer, 1952, Calamity Jane, 1953, A Star is Born, 1954, Damn Yankees, 1958. Finally, here's a win in 1962 for The Music Man. Makes sense. And then his last nomination, 1968, Finian's Rainbow. Good Lord.
The Music Man, have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's Yankee Doodle Dandy mixed with Elmer Gantry. It's a con man preacher dude who tricks a town into forming an orchestra, and then he actually follows through on it. It's actually a pretty sweet movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. No, I haven't seen a lot of these movies that I just went through. Star is Born is the one that jumps out the most.
Yeah.
1954 classic. So this is wild though. Just handfuls of nominations.
Yeah, it usually is with composers. They usually have just a laundry list of nominations.
Well, we've seen most of these shows, there's like fucking 20 people nominated each year. So it's like, well, yeah, makes sense that you're nominated every year.
True.
Let's look, for example, here. God, there's like 30 movies up for best documentary.
Fuck. Wait,
look at the
4-1.
Good God.
Oh my God. And they're all from like the military.
Yeah. 4 winners for best documentary. Best music has, like 20. And then like 8 in the other one. Yeah, just fucking bonkers. Best original song is about 10. Best sound recording is about 15. Yeah, it's just silly as fuck. So it makes sense that these people are nominated over and over and over. Next guy I want to bring up is our cinematographer, which there's some cool stuff going on in Yankee Doodle Dandy. There's a particular scene where I was kind of stunned by how things were moving and how things were shot and the lighting. I thought it was really cool. So this is another guy who has a lot to say here. Best cinematography nominations for James Wong Howe. Check it out. Algiers, 1938. Abe Lincoln in Illinois, 1940. Kings Row, 1942. The North Star, 1943. Air Force, 1943. Winner for Best Cinematography, The Rose Tattoo, 1955. The Old Man in the Sea, 1958, nomination. Another win in 1963 for HUD, a movie that I just fucking gotta see. Seconds from 1966, he gets nominated. And then his last nomination is Funny Lady, 1975. Wow. Pretty impressive. That's like 40 years of of work where he's nominated in almost every decade. So and some movies that I definitely want to see, or I know have a good reputation.
Yeah, same here. It is odd. I know. I want to say this delicately. You don't see a lot of Asian cinematographers in the 40s.
No.
And especially with, I know he's Chinese, but we tend to not notice little details in America. I'm impressed and glad he was able to get work.
There's definitely a conversation to be had just about what a feat that is. He was born in China and moved here at a young age to Washington State. And in the 30s, that's just not really a thing you hear much about. You don't see very many names in the credits and in the cast and crew that are something like James Wong Howe. So it's very cool. I would love to learn more about him. Scott, he has to have a fascinating life and some stories that I'm sure are crazy, in this really dark, nasty industry that we love. That struck me right away, man. I don't think that's really. I would think it's weird to not talk about it, to just be like, oh, it's normal. No, it wasn't. So that guy should be getting his flowers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
Oh man, last guy I want to talk about here before we kind of breeze through the 15th Academy Awards and talk about our awards is George Amy, the film editor for Yankee Doodle Dandy. Only 3 nominations altogether here, but movies we've already brought up. Yankee Doodle Dandy nominated in 1942. Air Force got the win in 1943. Movie that all these guys seem to have worked on: Rain Heindorf and James Wong Howe and George Amy. So that's cool. And then nominated in 1945 for Objective Burma. All film editing. Gotta think that it's not an easy job to just take hours and hours of Cagney singing and dancing. Like, Jesus Christ. Gotta splice this stuff together. I'm always fascinated by the people who are kind of in the cutting room, making those hard decisions. I'm sure I would not get along with a lot of them, but at the same time, what a fascinating job.
Oh yeah. I've always thought I'd make a pretty decent editor, but then again, I don't know how to do it. So that's probably a pipe dream. And I'm sure any real film editor out there is like, shut the fuck up, kid. So
shit's fucking hard. Yeah. What the hell do you know about it? Yeah. That's great. Well, man, we could just make fun of the 15th Academy Awards for having 19 fucking nominees in every category. Yankee Doodle Dandy, I mentioned earlier, has 8 nominations altogether, 3 wins. We've kind of talked about him here through these people, and we both definitely appreciate what Cagney's doing, but it's not a movie that I think, if the category were just 5 movies, I don't think Yankee Doodle Dandy should be anywhere near it.
No, me too. It's pretty atypical. I mean, it's pretty typical of this time. Combines, big budget musical with World War II, pro-American propaganda, which was just being pumped out of Hollywood in the early 40s, just nonstop. You can do it, do your part. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it was justified, and we did win, and that's one of the few wars where I'm like 100% certain. Yeah, we were the good guys, which is nice.
Well, yeah, that's why there's so many movies, but based on the 40s, 30s, 40s, World War II. It's a time where Americans can actually be proud. Yeah, like
we never really stopped making them. There's still World War II movies all the time with different
very popular.
Yeah, different soldiers getting their spotlights, true stories, and that's great. I love a good war film. Just you have to acknowledge that at its core, it is propaganda, and you are pretty much being a little bit brainwashed every time. But if you can accept that, fuck it, lay back and drink your Kool-Aid. Who cares?
Yeah. Just like when you're watching a biopic, you're like, okay, some of this is exaggerated. It's okay. Just take it with a grain of salt.
Like, get this. George M. Cohen fucking hated FDR. He was a diehard Republican, and he said, I don't want your medal. So that didn't happen in the movie.
No, they definitely skipped that whole bit. Yeah. That's hilarious. Did you find it easy to pick awards for it, or were you kind of like, fuck?
This was tough. This was really tough. Yeah. I've noticed that it's easy to pick things for a great movie. It's easy to pick things for a bad movie. It's those middle of the road movies that aren't great and aren't terrible that are just impossible to like put in a box. And this is one of those times.
Yeah, I'm with you. On that. I did not have an easy time either, except for one of them. One of them is pretty obvious, but the rest, was kind of up in the air. If you're still with us, thank you for being here. This has been a really fun episode. Had a blast talking about Al Pacino versus fucking Jack Nicholson and DiCaprio versus Brando. That was great. Here on Oscar Sunday, we always give out awards to whatever movie we're talking about. And we have 4 of them. The first one being the Quentin Tarantino Award for Best Line or Quote from the movie. We have the Ennio Morricone Award for Best Music Moment, Best Piece of Score, Best Soundtrack Moment, whatever it is. We have the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the Best Performance of the movie. And finally, we have the Roger Deakins Award for the Best Scene, most well-constructed scene of the film in our eyes. So I'll let you take it away with your Tarantino. I found a decent one, but yeah, this is not easy.
No. I had one that made me chuckle. It's we meet, I think his name was Foy. The rival.
Eddie Foy,
Eddie Foy. And he sees the George M. Cohen's big ad for his new play. And he goes, I wonder what the M is for. And someone goes, modesty.
Yeah, that was great.
That made me laugh. So that's my Tarantino.
Fantastic. Yeah, sometimes we do this award and it takes like 10 minutes for us to get through. Oh my God, this screenplay. Like I remember when we talked about The Incredibles, we were like, holy fuck, and here we are talking about fucking Yankee Doodle and we can't get anything. I was watching the movie, and I what I usually do with this award is I write them all out on my phone, and if my phone's next to me, and if something catches my eye, I write it down, real quick. I put it in my notes. And with this movie, it just kind of kept going, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't write anything down except for the PSH and the Deacons. So shit, what am I gonna do? So I had to just kind of go back and look on some of the IMDb quotes, and I had to kind of just do it that way. And this I kind of missed this. This is something that I thought was kind of cool and kind of underlying type thing about entertainment. It's George M. Cohen is talking to Sam Harris in the movie, and the back and forth goes from George Cohen to Sam Harris, and he says, "Thanks, Sam. It'll be great as long as those critics don't start to eat off my leg." Sam Harris says, "Oh, don't you worry about the critics. You got a smash hit. It's in the air, kid. It's in the air. You can't stop anything that's in the air." I agree. I agree with that. I think when a movie or a TV show grabs hold of whatever, is happening and kind of make the world stop, like Breaking Bad, that last season of Breaking Bad, it seemed like, I think it was on Sundays. Every Sunday night, it was like, fucking everything stops. This is what we're fucking doing. I think with Infinity War and Endgame, people were just like, shut the fuck up. This is what's happening. Nothing else culturally matters. And I like that he said that in this. He's like, dude, you're a star. Like you made it. You made a smash hit, dude. You're on top. Enjoy it. Because so many times these people that get to the top of the mountain, they don't really know where to go but up. They're like, I got to keep going. I got to keep doing this. And George M. Cohan is like that. He's like, well, what can I do next? What great adventure can I go on? And I love when a movie kind of calls out what entertainment is. And when you're saying it's in the air, it's in the air, you can't stop anything that's in the air. I agree. I agree. I think when someone takes hold of culture, it's very hard to stop that momentum.
That's insightful as hell. That's a really good pick. I like that. Mine was just like, like funny joke. You actually put some thought into it. Well done.
That's because I didn't write anything down during the movie. And I went back and I was reading them on IMDb and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I remember that scene and I was like, okay, all right. I can dig that. This is the one I had the most tough time with, though. The Ennio Morricone. What'd you get? Because I just kind of fucking threw my dart.
That's crazy. In a movie about music, it's really kind of sad that we both had a problem finding a good one here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine was the first performance of the Yankee Doodle Boy. When he's testing it out for the investor that him and Sam kind of swindle. And he just kind of plays it. And you can see that both of them, Sam and this guy, are both like, wow, what is this? Like lightning in a bottle. And he's just, it's such an infectious tune that my whole family kind of randomly will just burst into singing the Yankee Doodle Boy. This film's oddly important to my family, which I found so strange. And so yeah, I knew that was coming and I was like, yeah, okay, that's cute.
This is nice. Yeah. That's fantastic. I went with pretty basic, Give My Regards to Broadway. Kind of clever. It's a clever song. I don't know. I thought about, I guess, my mind went to guys like Bob Fosse who were just obsessed with this world, the theatrical and the stage. I was like, oh, maybe they were inspired by this. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm sure in some circles, this dude's like, an American icon, a legend. But I don't run in those circles, so I don't have any emotion.
Yeah.
I got no emotional connection to this guy.
His title, George M. Cohan, was the man who owned Broadway. So I just don't know about that stuff at all. Like, it's not my realm, not my world. But occasionally, I will enjoy a musical. It's just very rare, like you mentioned earlier, from the 20th century. I have a hard time with this genre.
They're all pretty much the same. There's not a lot of variety. They're all following a similar story with very similar sounding songs and score. It's hard to place, if you play me the score from 3 different ones, I don't think I'm going to be able to tell you what movie it's from.
Exactly. I remember talking about that a lot when we did 1959's Anatomy of a Murder, because fucking Duke Ellington. Yeah. And we were like, that makes a huge difference in a 40s or 50s movie when you have like a distinct musical taste and style and touch.
Damn straight.
Oh man. All right. We got 2 more awards left, my man, and we can get the hell out of here. Yankee Doodle. I'm starting to think this movie is kind of like a 6. Maybe a 7 is too good. I'm
kind of thinking the same.
I think I was like, Cagney, but is that enough? I don't know. The PSH.
Yeah, it's Cagney. Who else is going to be?
It's James Cagney by leaps and bounds. It's not even close.
Yeah, he's good. He's clearly in his element. He's been wanting to do something like this. He finally gets the chance. He gets to show off his immense talents as a showman, and that's great. I'm happy for him. I just wish the film had been better constructed for as a vehicle for him. Yeah, he's good, but he might not be enough to hold this thing together. I thought he was, but the more I talk about him, more I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll suggest checking out White Heat over it.
Yes,
10 times out of 10.
Very true. I honestly, Angels with Dirty Faces and The Public Enemy, I thought had more over this one too. And I gave those both 7s. So what does that say?
What does that say about Yankee Doodle? Here we are, the Deacons, the last award of the night. Usually this is the most fun, but I just didn't really know what to go with here. Super tough.
I chose the first meeting between George and Mary when she thinks he's this old, like 70-year-old theater man who's been in this game for 60 years and tries to ask him sage advice. And he's just like, well, I'm going to mess with this girl a little bit. Like,
that was funny.
Like, yeah, when you get to be my age, you got to think about like, did I try hard enough? And then he like dances for her and he's got the wild ferocity of a 20-year-old. And she's just like, how are you doing that? I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he's great. He really does use his space to his advantage. James Cagney.
Yeah,
he's able to kind of dance around, and I can't tell how tall he is. Is he short? Is he a short guy?
He seems like a short guy. Let me look that up.
The way, yeah, like you said, he's just kind of like a Tasmanian devil, just kind of bouncing around. Like it's pretty fun to watch.
Cagney
that was a great scene.
Yeah, true. He was only 5'4". He was really short.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's small. Yeah. Explains
the chip on all of his gangster shoulders there.
Yeah, little man syndrome. Yeah, just kind of like, come on. That's perfect. It makes sense that he could pull that off. Low center of gravity too for dancing. Can just kind of.
I think the choreography won him the Oscar. It had to have. I mean, in terms of performance, there's a few like moments that stand out, like when he's talking to his dad on his deathbed. But overall, the dancing is the stuff that had me most invested. Even the songs I thought were kind of half-assed sometimes.
Oh yeah, extremely. I was just like, oh shit, this is kind of a letdown. You thought this production was going to be really amazing, but it's just kind of redundant at times. But I mentioned this to you last night when we got to see fucking Dan Cummins at the Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club in San Antonio. Yeah, that was an absolute blast. That was Thursday night. We're recording this late Friday night. If you're listening, it's fucking Sunday. So yeah, lots happening. But I remember telling you, I did really like the little medley scene where it's just fucking bouncing around and you got the hits are playing, big time hits from Yankee Doodle Dandy. And this is where the cinematography gets really interesting, where it's edited. It's very advanced. There's not a lot of 40s movies that move this seamlessly through these big choreographed scenes. Just not easy to do. And I was pretty impressed by it. And there was the one time where I was kind of glued to the screen, where I was like, holy shit, I don't want to look at anything else. This is wild. And for that, I have some respect for it. I have some respect for the movie because of that, because of Cagney. But overall, I don't really recommend this movie unless you really like this era and you really like musicals. But I don't know, man. It's definitely one of the in-betweeners that we've done on this show.
Yeah, that always kind of sucks. I look forward to either praising a masterpiece or trashing a piece of shit. It's like I said, this middle ground that we're kind of just like, it's hard to kind of pick a lane on that.
Yeah. Usually Oscar Sunday gives us something to be really excited about. And that's why I think, when you get used to doing Awakenings and Truman Show, and Unforgiven, and then you get that random, fucking Yankee Doodle one in there, you get thrown off a little bit. You're like, oh shit, I was just giving out 9s and 10s. What's going on?
Yeah. Yep. But we did on this run, we did get the Heiress, which was something special.
Yeah, we got to talk more about Charlie Chaplin, Monsieur Verdoux. I loved that. I love doing that. And yeah, the Heiress is fantastic. Spellbound, we were a little bit different. We had different opinions on that one. And I think we think similar here on Yankee Doodle. But next week, you know what time it is, man. It's episode 65, which means it's a Best Picture Showdown coming you guys' way. Connor and I have been doing some legwork, doing movies from 1946, the 19th Academy Awards, The Best Picture winner is The Best Years of Our Lives. We're going to be talking about that movie a lot. We're going to give awards out to it next week. It is a winner that neither of us have seen. We're both very excited to finally get to it. This group of nominees is just 5. That's partly why we chose this year. It includes Henry V, fucking Laurence Olivier, It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Capra, the legend, with Jimmy Stewart giving one of his best performances. How did we not mention that when we were talking about James Stewart? It's such an iconic, like, great movie, one of the best American, kind of family movies of all time. So that's funny. And then we have, to finish off, The Razor's Edge and The Yearling. So next week, come on back for episode 65. Always fun to do a Best Picture showdown. Talk about 5 different movies. We're going to rank them. We're going to hone in on Best Years of Our Lives. We finally get to see Frederick March in one of his winning performances. He would have been in this tournament had we seen these movies. So I'm really excited. Also, Olivia de Havilland wins her other Oscar here. And to each his home. I might try to just watch that if I have any time because I love her. Please join us next week. It's going to be an absolute treat to finish off the 40s with this showdown of a movie we haven't seen.
Very true. And The Best Years of Our Lives is particularly special because it has performances from actual wounded veterans of World War II. The war ended in 1945. This film came out in 1946. It was all still fresh. And this is a film about the consequences of that war at home and coming back to a world that might not seem as familiar as it did when you left. And I'm sure this is going to be a very poignant, reflective film on war. And I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
On the Filmgazm podcast on Wednesday, we're covering Candyman in preparation of the new one finally coming out next Friday, or this Friday, I guess.
Fantastic.
So excited. And then tomorrow's sneak preview is going to be covering a number of films, all of which are getting horrific reviews. Apart from The Night House, a random horror film starring Rebecca Hall that we will probably be making our primary focus. So,
perfect.
Yeah, look forward to that. This was fun. Wish this film had been better, but honestly, not all that surprised.
Shit happens.
Shit happens indeed. With that in mind, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week.